All right, let's talk some Matt Ryan and listen. Colts won. Colts are 2-2-1. You're 500, despite kind of how flat you've looked through 5 weeks. The fact that you've kind of weathered the storm, you feel good about that. It's a big difference from being 2-2-1 and 1-3-1. It just feels a lot better. So first things first. No need to panic, no need to say this is a disaster, but it's certainly been a disappointment so far, as this is a team with high expectations, and really it's Matt Ryan who has not lived up to the hype so far. Pro Football Focus has him as the second lowest graded quarterback so far this season, and I don't really disagree, but let's talk about what he's doing wrong and maybe how the Colts can fix it. So we're going to start off with this play. This coverage is killing the Colts. The Colts have no answer for a cover one blitz, which is not that difficult of a concept typically, but it makes sense why they're struggling with this because of a couple things. One, listen, I like Alec Pierce and I like Michael Pittman. I think those are two good players, so I think that's a good 1-2 matchup. But, no one's going to confuse their receiving core for Cincinnati's, right? You're just not. They still don't have a ton of guys who can win one-on-ones consistently, and if you're going up against a team who's covers well, like the Broncos do, it's going to be difficult. So that's part one of why this coverage is effective is, the Colts don't only have guys who can take advantage and get these big 40-yard chunk plays down the field consistently. They have a couple guys who can do it with some consistency, but it's it's not A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. It's not Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I like them both as players, but they're just not quite on that level, at least at this point in their career. The other aspect is the blitz part, because yes, that's the man coverage part, but also the sending a fifth player is just giving Matt Ryan a world of trouble. Pressure in general, he just seemingly can't handle it. I mean, look at how, so you're going to see this pressure come in. Ryan has to make a decision quickly. At this point, the one I've circled in yellow is the most open receiver here. That's an option. I think maybe one of the main things I would like to see Ryan do is just throw the ball quicker, get rid of the ball quicker, try to make an effort to say, hey, the offensive line's not holding up. Let's make this happen. You saw Ben Roethlisberger towards the end of his career. The Steelers went 11-0 to start the season 2 years ago, largely through Roethlisberger kind of saying, hey, I'm a bit more limited at this point. Let me just start getting rid of the football a little quicker. Michael Pittman is relatively open. I think this is maybe a way to improve if you're Matt Ryan. Because what Matt Ryan's doing now, when he sees something kind of break down and he's trying to make a play, it's going really poorly. Because, doesn't love to throw to Michael Pittman, and there is traffic in front of it, so I do understand it. No one else is really open, so he's getting kind of a tough spot. But here's where things go wrong for Ryan. Watch him try to scramble, and that just does not go well at all. Matt Ryan has to stop scrambling. If I'm Frank Reich, I'm telling Matt Ryan, listen, for the next game, let's just try to not scramble. Let's just not even think about scrambling. We're going to throw the ball away when we don't like what we see. You see Tom Brady, that's how he's kind of, he's never been a runner, but at this point when he really isn't a runner, he's throwing the ball away constantly. A lot of these quarterbacks who can't move, you got to throw the ball away a little bit. Minimize damage. That could go a long way for the Colts. He has to stop taking so many sacks and certainly stop fumbling so much. Like, this play is another example of it's going to be a very similar concept. So this time it's not a blitz, and that's one thing that also has to be mentioned is this Colts offensive line it's giving up pressure at a high level. I mean, it is. These tackles have not been great so far for the Colts. They got to fix that. I think, guards are still very good. We know Quentin Nelson is very good. But it's just, and I say tackles, I really should just say, Braden Smith is very good at the tackle position, but that other tackle has been tough. Matt Pryor has not looked good so far. Bernard Raymond has not looked good when he's been out there, so that's also been an issue for them. So they just need guys who can consistently win. And listen, they're banged up, all of that stuff. Of course, every team has injuries on the offensive line, but yeah, that's been some of the struggles. But watch how you're going to see very quick pressure. The pressure is coming before the receivers can get open, and then Matt Ryan is just making it way worse by trying to scramble. So it's those three things working together. All three, and he also fumbled, by the way. Good awareness by Quentin Nelson to go over and pick it up. But that's kind of why things are going poorly. Offensive line's not blocking well at all. Guys aren't getting open quickly because, you can deal with one of those two issues. We saw Cincinnati, their offensive line couldn't block, but they could throw the ball in 1 second sometimes, so it didn't matter as much. We also do see teams, it's a little bit less often, but teams that don't have great receiving cores, still they have to have an offensive line that can give them enough time. Eventually those receivers can get open and they can make the throws as well. But when you have neither of those, no one's getting open, your quarterback's getting put in a tough spot, and then he's also putting himself, he's making things worse. He's making matters worse, which is just kind of part of the issue. Like going over here, it's like, okay, if you play for a rough offense, you can't be taking too many chances. That's kind of the other thing is you have to, this team is not a horrible team. You have ways to win. You run the ball and you play defense. That's how you can win football games given the current roster, but you can't be making mistakes like this one that Matt Ryan's about to make. So the Broncos are going to play a zone coverage here, but it's going to be kind of a creative zone coverage. They're going to be definitely, mixing things up a little bit. It's not going to just be you send the four you think they're going to send. They're going to have, a linebacker rush in. They're going to have, both outside linebackers here, both edge rushers drop back in the coverage. So bit of an exotic kind of play here. But anyways, Ryan takes the snap. Ryan's going to look down the field, and right here, so you kind of see why Ryan might want to make this throw, right? It's clearly not open as of right now, but okay, the player who is in coverage can't see the wide receiver because, he's facing Matt Ryan. So because of this, you can just have your player kind of run to either side, and then there could be a gap. The issue with that is that there are Broncos players on either side of that scenario, so whichever side he goes towards, it's still not really going to be open. Ryan decides to try to make this throw anyways, and it ends up getting intercepted, just kind of a dumb play by Matt Ryan. But to me, this is kind of where Matt Ryan has kind of ran into some issues, is he's not used to playing for a team that's done this little offensively so far. He's used to having great receivers. Most of his career, he's had great receivers. I'm not saying Atlanta was a great place last year, but this has been a worse scenario so far, I would say, than the vast majority of his career, certainly. And maybe it's not that much worse than what Atlanta was last year, but this is still a relatively new thing for him that he kind of has to learn, hey, these are throws I can't make. Like something like this is another example of just kind of a risky play that they kind of just don't have the ability to afford. So on paper, this is actually the correct read, and that's something that we've definitely seen a lot of with Ryan, is he still is on paper looking the right way, looking for what should be open. He's doing all that stuff well, which we would assume that he would be able to do, and he has. The way this play works, it's a zone coverage play. You kind of have, three receivers running in an area where there's only two defenders, so hopefully the middle route gets open. That's what they're hoping happens here. Matt Ryan is going to take the snap. Matt Ryan is going to look there, and Michael Pittman, you can see why he wants to make this throw, right? You can also see why he shouldn't, but you can see why. There is a bit of a window, but there's also a Denver player right there who is reading the play. Ryan makes the throw anyways, and again, on a third down, they end up turning the ball over. That's just again, another mistake there by Matt Ryan and by this Colts team. So this is the thing that Matt Ryan really has to work on, I think, is damage management, right? What happens when something goes wrong, and how can you minimize damage? That's what you have to do, is minimizing damage. That's part of a quarterback's job, is when plays don't work, not having it go to be a disaster. And Matt Ryan is just not doing a great job of that right now, and it's a huge part of why the problems on this Colts offense are getting amplified, because Matt Ryan is not working around those problems. So it's everything. Coaching has to be better, receiving core has to be better, blocking has to be better, and quarterbacking has to be better. And that's a lot that has to get better. The good thing, though, is, like I said, 5 weeks, you're 500. I mean, you have all of those issues and you're still 500. You feel okay about that. And you're in a weaker division, so it's not like the Colts are dead by any means. And I do think that some of this stuff can get better. I don't think that, this is stuff that won't get better. I think it's totally possible, but, couple of big divisional games coming up. You have the Jaguars next week, who, are no slouches. They just crushed you in Jacksonville. They always beat you in Jacksonville, but, still, you got to try to hopefully right the ship there, and then you play the Titans the week after. So, the Colts looking tough, but hey, you go on a run here, win a couple games, and you're feeling great. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I think so far about Matt Ryan and the Colts offense as a whole. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.